Have you ever felt tired of constantly living in fear? Fear that one morning you might wake up to a sudden crushing chest pain? Fear that even though you've cut back on salt, given up sugar, exercised regularly, your heart is still not safe? If you've ever had that feeling, then this video is for you. I'm not here to offer you miracles, but I will show you something surprising. There are foods so familiar, like garlic, like kimchi, like a vegetable you might have overlooked, the clinical studies are now proving can actually reduce plaque buildup inside your arteries. And you know what? Just a 1% reduction in arterial plaque can lower your risk of heart attack or stroke by as much as 25%. Yes, just 1%. So why do so few people know about this? Why do most doctors only talk to you about statins, about surgery, and never mention garlic or sardines? Because no one makes a profit from garlic. Because kimchi cannot be patented. But the evidence exists, and this video will guide you through every line of that data. The food ranked number 5 shocked me so much that I immediately started buying it again after ignoring it for 18 months. And the number 1 food? It comes from a group of vegetables that I bet you've eaten, but never eaten enough of. Can you guess what it is? Before we dive into the list of 7 foods, let's take a moment to understand why can reducing plaque, even by just 1%, literally save your life? Plaque is not just an invisible fatty lump stuck in your arteries. It's soft, fragile buildup that can rupture at any time. And when it does, it triggers a blood clot. That's the true cause of stroke and heart attack. The most dangerous part? You often don't feel anything until it's too late. A study in the United States followed thousands of patients for years. They found that reducing soft plaque by just 1% lowered the risk of stroke by 25%. No need for a 10% reduction, no need for stents, no need for surgery. Just 1%. So what can achieve this? That's where food comes in. There are certain foods tested in clinical trials compared against placebo, even measured with coronary CT scans before and after 12 months, that showed a clear reduction in plaque. Not rumors, documented results on medical imaging. If you've ever thought food isn't powerful enough to change your fate, then perhaps you haven't seen the data I'm about to share. But before we get to number 7, I want to ask you, what food do you think has been compared directly with statin drugs yet carries no side effects? The answer may surprise you.
Food number 7, aged garlic extract. Do you remember the food that was once compared to statin drugs but without side effects? That's aged garlic, in extract form, also known as aged garlic extract. Garlic itself is not unfamiliar to us, but few people realize that when it's fermented and extracted under scientific standards, it becomes a gentle yet powerful biological weapon against soft plaque, the most dangerous type of arterial plaque. A study led by Dr. Matt Budoff, involving 72 people with metabolic syndrome, showed remarkable results. All participants underwent coronary CT scans. After 1 year, the group that took 2,400 milligrams of aged garlic daily had an average reduction of 1.5% in soft plaque. Meanwhile, the placebo group increased by 0.2%. The total difference, 1.7%, enough to cut cardiovascular risk by more than 40%. I know, 1.5% may sound small, but if you've ever sat by the bedside of a patient who just suffered a heart attack, or if you yourself have faced that moment, you'd understand. Just one small plaque rupture could be the very last moment. Some may ask, was this study biased? Was there sponsorship involved? Perhaps. But if you wait for a perfect study, with no sponsors, no questions, no flaws, you might never begin anything at all. And what made me take action? After 18 months of neglecting garlic supplements, I immediately bought them again after revisiting this study. So what about you? Are you waiting for a heart attack before making a change?
Food number 6, kimchi. Have you ever wondered, does fermenting food really make a difference? Or is it just a trendy diet fad? With kimchi, the answer comes from a small but powerful study. 22 overweight participants were divided into 2 groups. One group ate freshly made kimchi, just 1 day old. The other ate kimchi fermented for 10 days. The study used a crossover design, meaning each participant tried both types in different phases, eliminating bias. And the results? Those who ate fermented kimchi reduced their body fat by 2.2%, double that of the fresh kimchi group. Fat is not just excess weight, it's a hormone factory that drives inflammation and plaque buildup. Even more striking, fasting insulin dropped by 26% in the fermented kimchi group. And during a glucose tolerance test, their insulin dropped another 16.6% after 4 weeks. This clearly shows one thing: kimchi helps reverse insulin resistance, the key driver behind atherosclerosis. You see, sometimes we look for complex solutions, but the answer might be sitting inside a jar of kimchi, the kind you can buy at a Korean market, or even make at home. It doesn't replace a healthy lifestyle, but it can become a powerful part of that healthy lifestyle. I used to dislike kimchi. The pungent smell, the sour taste, it was too strange for me. But eventually I learned to accept it, and even grew to love it. What about you? Will you dare to open that jar of kimchi and give it a chance?
Food number 5, nattokinase. There are people who do everything right, eat clean, exercise, sleep well, yet still collapse from a sudden heart attack. They don't need more advice, they need a stronger solution. And nattokinase, the enzyme found in the Japanese dish natto, may be one of the rare few that truly delivers. A study in China followed 1,062 people, all of whom had their carotid artery plaque thickness measured. After 1 year of taking 10,800 milligrams of nattokinase daily, the results were astonishing. Plaque thickness dropped by an average of 22%. Not only that, triglycerides dropped by 15%, HDL rose by 16%, and LDL fell by 17%. Just a small dose of an enzyme, yet it worked as if it were literally shaving off layers of plaque from the artery walls. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a miracle drug. And yes, it has its weaknesses. The study had no placebo group. But here's something interesting. Participants who took a lower dose, only 3,600 milligrams, saw just a 4% reduction, while those on the full dose saw a 22% reduction. That's a dose-response curve, a clear biological signal that something real is happening. Of course, some people can't stomach natto, that sticky, pungent, fermented soybean dish. But you don't have to eat natto every morning. Nattokinase is now available in capsule form, and many types are soy-free. The question isn't whether you like natto. The real question is, if there's an enzyme that could reduce plaque by nearly 1/4, would you be willing to learn more?
Food number 4, omega-3 from fish. You've heard omega-3 is good for the heart, but have you ever wondered how good exactly? This isn't hearsay. These are results from a meta-analysis, the strongest form of study in modern medicine. Researchers combined data from 34 studies spanning from 1947 to 2015, analyzing the impact of omega-3 on cardiovascular events. And they discovered just 1 gram of omega-3 a day could reduce the risk of heart attack, stroke, angina, and other events by an average of 9%. For people with high triglycerides, the benefit was even greater. Then, Big Pharma stepped in. They created Vasepa, a prescription-grade omega-3 at extremely high doses, and claimed it reduced cardiovascular death risk by 25%. But here's what pharmaceutical companies don't emphasize. You can gain many of the same benefits from real food, like salmon, herring, mackerel, and sardines. On top of that, omega-3 reduces inflammation, stabilizes heart rhythms, and lowers platelet stickiness, the very process that causes blood clots and heart attacks. And if you're worried about mercury in fish, remember that small fish, like sardines, anchovies, and herring, have extremely low mercury levels, and they're affordable and easy to store. So here's the question. If you could lower your risk of cardiovascular death by nearly 1/4 just by eating fish 3 times a week, what would you choose? An expensive prescription drug or a cheap pack of sardines from Costco?
Food number 3, berries. Some foods win you over the very first time you taste them. And then there are foods that are both delicious and as powerful as medicine. That's berries. A study from Iran caught the attention of the entire medical community. 80 people with high triglycerides were divided into 2 groups. One group took whortleberry extract every 8 hours for 2 months. The other group took a placebo. The results were shocking. Total cholesterol dropped 28%, LDL fell 26%, triglycerides went down 20%, and most impressively, HDL, the good cholesterol, rose by 37.5%. Do you realize that this is the highest HDL increase ever recorded from a fruit? No side effects, no strict diet, just a fruit, packed with anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that reduce inflammation, clear oxidized LDL, and improve endothelial function in blood vessels. Of course, this study used whortleberries, which grow in the Arterial region. But more common berries you can easily find, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, cranberries, have also been confirmed in meta-analyses to reduce arterial stiffness, lower LDL, and improve blood flow. You can sprinkle them over yogurt, blend them into smoothies, or just eat them plain in the morning. No need to count milligrams, no need to memorize brand names, just build a habit. The question is, are you wasting a chance to enjoy delicious food while cleaning your arteries every single day? Food number 2, eggs. Have you ever been told that eggs raise cholesterol and should be avoided? It's time to erase that outdated fear. A study in northern Manhattan followed more than 1,400 seniors using carotid artery ultrasound to measure thickness, a key marker of plaque buildup. And the results shocked many. The more eggs people ate, the cleaner their arteries were. Specifically, for each additional egg consumed per week, the risk of plaque formation dropped by about 11%, up to a certain threshold. Meanwhile, breakfast cereals and refined starches actually made artery walls stickier, accelerating plaque formation. Why are eggs so effective? Because eggs don't raise insulin, don't cause inflammation, and don't promote glycation, the root processes that damage artery walls. On top of that, eggs boost HDL, the good cholesterol that helps sweep excess cholesterol out of your bloodstream. And remember, HDL cannot be raised by drugs, but it rises significantly with foods like eggs, berries, and physical activity. Are you still avoiding eggs because of advice from the 1980s or out of fear of total cholesterol while ignoring scientific truth? Did you know that with 1 egg each morning, you're nourishing your liver, brain, and blood vessels while enjoying something rich, creamy, easy to cook, and almost unbelievably cheap? Food number 1, cruciferous vegetables. You can actually change the thickness of your arteries simply by eating vegetables every day. Hard to believe? A long-term study that tracked hundreds of adults starting in 1998 revealed something extraordinary. Those who ate at least 3 servings of vegetables daily had artery walls up to 5% thinner compared to those who ate fewer than 2 servings. And do you remember what that number means? A 1% reduction in arterial thickness equals a 25% reduction in cardiovascular risk. So what does 5% translate to? That's massive. Among all vegetable groups, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower showed the strongest effect. Just an extra 10 grams of cruciferous vegetables per day led to nearly a 1% additional reduction in artery thickness. What makes cruciferous vegetables so powerful? It may be the polyphenols, the isothiocyanates, or the soluble fiber, or more likely, the synergy of all of them working together as an army to protect your arteries against inflammation, oxidation, and invading LDL. And best of all, cruciferous vegetables are not medicine. You can steam them, stir-fry, roast, blend into smoothies, toss into salads, a different way every day. No rigid dosing, no brand labels, just a habit. Are you overlooking a true superfood sitting right in your fridge just because you think vegetables aren't strong enough to make a difference? Lifestyle and REIHT are natural insurance stronger than any pill. Now you've seen each of these foods is more than just food. They're edible medical tools, backed by clinical trials. But remember, no single food can replace lifestyle. And among lifestyle factors, movement is the most critical biological safety valve. Did you know your leg muscles are what pull glucose out of your bloodstream even when your body is insulin resistant? Muscles aren't just for moving, they're a living metabolic organ, shielding your arteries from damage. And if you've ever thought, I can't do high-intensity exercise because my knees are weak, here's good news. REIHT, or Reduced Exertion HIIT, is the answer. Just 5 minutes with 2 bursts of 20 seconds of effort, and your body begins producing new mitochondria, expanding capillary networks like a natural rejuvenation drug for your arteries. Have you ever considered that just 5 minutes a day could do what no medication can? HDL, triglycerides, and LDL, 3 numbers that reveal your arteries' future. Why has this video emphasized numbers like HDL, triglycerides, and LDL? Are they just statistics, or are they warnings from your future? The truth is, they are a mirror reflecting your metabolic health, the very factor that determines how quickly plaque builds up inside your arteries each day.
If your triglycerides are high, it's a sign that your body is processing energy inefficiently, most often due to insulin resistance. If your HDL, the good cholesterol, is low, you lose the ability to carry excess fat out of your artery walls. And if your LDL is oxidized, that becomes the fuse that triggers plaque buildup and rupture. Many people mistakenly believe that as long as their cholesterol numbers fall within the safe range, they're fine. But that's not true. The quality and biological role of each number matters far more. Do you know where you stand on the metabolic map, or are you still just guessing? You don't have to live in uncertainty. Instead of vague worry, you can run a set of metabolic blood tests just once and know exactly where your arteries are headed. HDL, LDL, triglycerides, fasting insulin levels. These numbers don't lie, and they give you the chance to make changes before it's too late. We've prepared a detailed video guide on how to interpret your metabolic test results, and more importantly, how to take action afterward. You can click the link in the description or the pinned comment to watch. Have you ever had lab work done, but no one explained what it really meant? This is the moment to take control for yourself. And if you're still listening now, that tells me one thing. You're fighting for your own longevity. Not everyone does that. Many give up after their first heart attack. Many believe that taking their pills is enough. But you're different. You haven't waited for someone to knock on your door and say, it's time to act. You've searched, you've thought, and now you've found real tools. From aged garlic, kimchi, fish, and berries, to new concepts like REIHT and fasting insulin levels. You now know just a 1% reduction in plaque can cut stroke risk by as much as 25%. That can come from today's meal or from 5 minutes of movement tonight. You don't need perfection. You just need to begin. 1 serving of cruciferous vegetables, 1 walk, 1 correctly dosed nattokinase capsule. Step by step, these small actions compound into a vascular system that is stronger, cleaner, and more resilient. And if you found this video useful, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your family, your friends, anyone you know who may be living with an unprotected heart. Because sometimes a single video isn't just information, it's a chance at survival.